Welcome to the renewal, the reset. As always, it's never too late in life to refresh and reset. Reset your way of thinking, reset how you go about your life and your choices that you make. Whether you're a man or woman, always have your boundaries in place. Just that will save you a headache when it comes to any relationship. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Probably the worst nigga you ever met in your life talking like they just the best thing to happen to you. But I held you down. Hell yeah, you held me down. From success. Amen? From my potential. From what I could be. Don't play with me.
The number one reason why I do the types of videos that I do is because I believe at my core that if women truly knew how most men really think and how they feel about women would not do stupid things, idiotic, dumb things like give up their careers for these men, give up their jobs and to be a stay-at-home wife, mother, and girlfriend without having their own money. That's the key part. You can give all that up, but as long as you still got your own money, you're good, right? If you're going to do that. But you wouldn't do things like give up your friends and your hobbies, because there's a lot of women out there, the first thing they do is give up their friends and go ghost once they get a man or once they get married and whatever, right? You wouldn't give up the things that make you happy. You wouldn't be moving across town. You wouldn't be making all of these sacrifices. Across the country, making all of these sacrifices, giving things up, changing your religion, changing your core beliefs, throwing your wigs away, even though you love wigs, but the man is like, I don't like wigs, or throwing your makeup collection away because the man is like, I don't like women who wear makeup, even though you're a makeup artist or makeup is your life, right? You wouldn't do these dumbass things. If you knew that most men can't love you, they can't possibly love you, especially not in the way that women love men. Men will beat you down trying to convince you men actually love hard. We love stronger and harder than women, blah, 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 blah. But their strong and hard is never like in the way that women need it. Like, you love me so much harder, but you can't keep your dick in your pants. You love me so much harder, but you can't stop lying to me and being gaslighty and all that stuff, right? If y'all knew how men thought, you wouldn't be a fool for them, and you damn sure wouldn't love them more than they love you. I am going to put in a clip from the late great Patrice O'Neal. If you know, you know. This is going to be the best analogy that you will ever probably see in your life. If you come across a better one, link it below or put it in the comment section so I'll check it out. In my opinion, you're never going to come across any analogy better than this one that thoroughly explains to any woman. You should be able to understand this point of view and why most men kind of see women as a burden. They really don't want to be stuck with one woman forever. They really are annoyed by the sound of your voice or, whatever it is, right? Most men don't marry for love. They marry for convenience. And because of that, they get easily irritated. You're dragging them to the pumpkin patch. You're dragging them to kids' soccer games that they don't want to go to. Every time y'all have an event, a family event, he always acts like he doesn't want to be there because he doesn't. He's doing what society told him to do in order to be seen as a man. Or he needs a wife appliance or a wife slave. Shout out to Bourbon Bougie, right? I'm going to put this clip and then I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary. Now, the biggest key to this for women is to take your emotions out of it. This is very, very important. You must take your emotions out of it. Don't get offended. Don't have thin skin. Put your big girl panties on. This is going to trigger a lot of y'all, okay? But it's necessary that you listen to this with open-minded ears, if you will.
I'm trying to make it so women just understand a little bit of just to sympathize. It's like we're like sport fishermen. This is what I'm saying. Men like to fish. And sport fishing is different from catching fish for food. You just get it, you catch it, and you show your friends. Because you want them to know that you can catch fish. You take a couple of pictures so you can show people the fish that you have the ability to catch. And then you release it back into the water.
What if I told you men fall in love with you when you're mean? What if I also told you being mean doesn't even have to be a toxic thing? If that sounds like an impossible balance, just wait. On today's live show, we're gonna be discussing why men fall in love with you when you're mean to them, so that you can make the proper adjustment in your dating life that will have men hungry for you like a wild hyena. Join the show.
What a guy says versus what he actually means. And this is coming from a guy's perspective. I do not condone any of these, but I know how men think, and I'm letting y'all know I'm your big brother Russ, so I got to. I'm just going with the flow. Don't fall for that. That just means he wants to keep you around while he does his own thing. He's probably talking to other women, and he just wants to keep you around because you might be fun to him temporarily, whatever the case may be. But if you're looking for something serious, this is a no-go. Which brings me to my next one. I'm not looking for anything serious right now. That just means he's not looking for anything serious right now with you. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just what it is. If the right woman comes into a man's life, whether he's looking for it or not, he's going to get into something serious. And you might not be exactly what he wants. And that's not your fault, but it's also not on you to sit around and just wait for this man to realize what he's missing out on. So this is a no-go. For the last one, if he says, can we talk about it later? Make that man talk about it right now. He's probably hoping you just forget. You ain't gonna forget.
There is nothing colder than when a woman detaches from a relationship after giving you time after time, chance after chance, and literally giving you all of the love that she had and has, only argued so you could see her point of view, to the point where she's just like, it's not even worth it anymore. And when she gets to that point, there is no turning back. You're not going to get the same woman that you got at the beginning of the relationship that was, soft and feminine and was lovey-dovey and affectionate. But now, since you have gotten her soul to the point where she's done and she would rather be single than in an actual relationship, she doesn't want to be like that to you. She does not want anything to do with the relationship. And literally anything that you do can result in her leaving. And you see, the sad reality is, instead of correcting the behavior that she talked about the first time, or being the man that you actually promised her in the beginning, a lot of y'all would rather scare a good woman away that genuinely wants the best for y'all. But y'all stay safe out here, man.
I'm going to make it so that you never chase that man again. He never leaves you on red. You're never wondering why he's not replying to you. That's just not going to be an issue for you anymore after this post. With this story, have you ever been to a store and say you're shopping for sunglasses or a watch? Let's make it a Cartier watch. You go in the store, you find out the price. Let's make it $10,000. It's a lot of money, but it's beautiful. It's the most beautiful watch you've ever seen. So you go home and you're thinking about it and you're like, oh my God, it is the most beautiful watch I've ever seen. You've not been back to the store for days now, but you're thinking about it. And suddenly the store manager calls you and they're like, hey, so what are you thinking? Are you going to buy the watch or what? And you're like, oh, sorry, I'll call you back later. They call you back the next day. Hey, so we've got other customers for the watch. Are you going to buy the watch or what? Or would you like a 10% discount? You're like, whoa, 10% discount. Maybe it's not worth as much as I thought. The next day you wake up and the manager's like, hey, sorry, I just think it's really rude of you as a customer to not get back to us in time because there are other people interested. And when people treat me like this, as a manager of Cartier, I just don't want your customer ever again. At this point, you're thinking, is this even Cartier I went to? Or is this some kind of knockoff store? Where did I even go? Why did I even want to buy this thing? Then you get an email. Okay, 50% off for you. At this point, you don't even want the watch. You're considering, is this Cartier? I don't want the watch. Why won't they leave me alone? You're anxious. You're like, please release me from this. That's exactly what you do when you meet a guy and then you think that you've got ownership over him. You try and control him and you try and seal the deal before he has decided to give you his top price emotionally, physically, financially, in every single way that he can for what you are. You are the Cartier watch, and as soon as he is not replying to you for a day, or not talking to you for a day, or not getting back to you for a day, or not actioning because he's evaluating and measuring up what he's going to have to do in order to be with you, and as soon as you start chasing, you completely devalue yourself, like the story I just told you. So from now on, remember that. when you've had a date and he's not told you anything the next day, and you want to write to him that monologue that we talk about, the soliloquy we want to talk about? Don't do it. Remember the story.
There was a post on Instagram talking about how the way these men set up nowadays, it's not hard to be celibate. I simply commented and said, yeah, I went 10 years one time and I would do it again. The dudes lost their mind on this comment. They was attacking me, telling me I was lying. It was all cap. First off, there's nothing to cap about. That's not even anything to lie about. Y'all make it very easy to not want to deal with you, your problems, and your contaminated STD infested D that you pass around to anybody that'll spread their legs and allow you to give it to them. So no, I definitely went 10 years and I would definitely do it again. When you have to weigh out the pros and cons of laying down with one of y'all, it's not worth it. It's not even worth it. Why would you do that to yourself? I don't do double standards. A lot of y'all men are thoughts. You're little whores. I don't want no whore man. I don't want the contaminated D. I'm cool off of it.
I'm sorry, your request was wifey level. You are currently on our girlfriend package. Please upgrade to unlock this feature. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
If they give you the silent treatment, run for the hills. He doesn't know how to communicate. The first time they hang up on you, run for the hills. It won't be the last. If he walks in front of you, run for the hills. He's a narcissist. If he goes through the door before you, run for the hills. He doesn't have any home training. The very first time he looks at you crazy, run for the hills. He could be abusive. Raises his voice at you, there's more to come. Run for the hills. The first time he makes you cry, run for the hills. It won't be the last. If he does make you cry and he looks at you with a blank stare, run for the hills fast. He's a narcissist and he does not have any emotional intelligence or empathy for others. Because if you can see someone cry and you don't console them or you don't have any emotional reaction, you are disconnected from your own emotions, so that will never get better. Run for the hills. If he is moody and you can never tell what version of him you're going to get, run for the hills. You will always be on an emotional roller coaster. If he hangs up on you, he has no respect for you, run for the hills. Stonewalls you and he acts like you're not in the room while you're talking to him. He is manipulative and he is trying to control you and get you to fawn over him. Run for the hills. If he is selfish and he's always looking to receive in the relationship, he is not there to give or provide. Run for the hills. If you're just meeting them and they talk excessively about themselves, they are not interested in you or anything you have to say, and they're usually probably selfish. Run for the hills. If he is defensive and can't take feedback, run for the hills. He does not respect your opinion and he will never want to hear anything that you have to say that's outside of what he wants to hear. Run for the hills. If he has poor hygiene, self-explanatory, run for the hills. If he has more than one child's mother, more than one ex-wife, or children that he does not see or support, it will not get better and you will be the next child's mother. You will be the next divorcee. This is a habit and a lifestyle for them. If you don't want to be the next one, run for the hills. If he does not have a stable work history and cannot keep a job for more than 6 months to a year, he's probably a hobosexual and he probably has a history of quitting his jobs. So that does not speak of stability. Run for the hills. Last but not least, actually this is probably the most important one. If he does not have a good relationship with his mother and speaks negatively about her in any form or fashion, or any female caregiver that has provided for them or sacrificed for them, run for the hills. I can speak from personal experience. Never, ever date a man that speaks negatively about his mother. And the way that you find out, you ask. You ask them, when was the last time you spoke to your mom? If you see any resistance or any frown or any micro expression on their face that speaks to negativity towards his mother figure or female caregiver, run for the hills. It will not get better.
Men are not supposed to be loved by a woman. They are supposed to be handled by a strong woman. And the sooner you realize that, you will have a man obsessed with you. You see, men are an idea of love. They are an illusion of love. And if you fall for the illusion, you're going to suffer. Okay? Men are not supposed to be loved by a woman. They are supposed to be handled by strong women. And the sooner you realize that, you will have a man obsessed with you. You see, men are an idea of love.
Hear me out when I say this. Women can learn a lot from men. And one of the things that they can learn is the act of being selfish. I'm not saying being selfish is always right, but the things that men are selfish about are very logical at times. If they're at a job that's not paying them well, not appreciating them, they don't stay for long. If they're smart, they go to a better paying job to provide them a better lifestyle. It's very simple. If a relationship is not serving him well, and even if it's serving him well, we know what they do when that happens. But if it's not serving them well, they don't look for potential. They keep it moving. If a friendship is broken and bro code is done for, they're not trying to save that friendship. So let's put it in my experience, right? I'm a people pleaser. I love making people happy to the point where it's dysfunctional, it's not healthy, it's not balanced. And in the end, how does that really serve me? Everybody's happy around me but me. That makes no sense. To sum it up, we can learn a lot from men. They put their priorities, their wants, their needs, and they make sure they get them. And if they don't, they try hard enough to get them. And I love that for them. And for me.
3 red flags that'll show you that he's selfish and doesn't really care about you. Tune in. Number 1, he wants everything done on his time. When he wants to see you, or, when he wants to hang out with you or do stuff, it's only when he's available. But if you ask, or you say you're only available at this time, or if you ask, can I see you this day, it's automatic no for him. Number 2, when you want to vent to him, he doesn't really want to listen. He doesn't want to hear it. He's like, I don't want to hear this. This is BS. But when he wants to vent to you, he wants you to be all ears. He wants you to listen to him and console him and be his emotional support. But he doesn't want to be your most emotional support. That's selfish as hell. And number 3, he gaslights you. When you tell him like you're feeling a certain way about something between your relationship, he's like, oh, you're being dramatic, you're being clingy, you're being needy. If he says any of that, run away from that man as soon as possible.
Men hold on to women they don't want a relationship with because they are selfish, period. Because he knows what she brings to the table, so she's emotionally invested. So he plays games with her so no one else can have her. Men like this stay so they can milk you for everything that you have, or until they find someone to replace you. And to me, you can't get more selfish than that. I done seen some loyal, good women destroy themselves because they can't let go of a man that continues to take from them. Eventually, he's gonna take the most important piece, your spirit. He's gonna drain you of the flourishing woman that you are, and you won't have anything left to give. So he's gone because he doesn't have anything left to take.